So what's your favorite TV show, Asia?
Well, am I allowed to say that Billions is my favorite show? Even though I'm on it, Billions is my favorite show.
So what really fascinates me about your relationship to Billions is that when you read the screenplay, the script, the pages, whatever they were showing you, you saw something that helped you to identify who you are. Can you explain that to me?
Sure. I felt ambiguous about my gender identity my whole life before I even had words that I could put to those thoughts or feelings. And I started experimenting with gender nonconformity in middle school and high school in terms of how I dressed, how I cut my hair, things like that. And then a couple of years ago, I became aware of a performer named Taylor Mack who uses any number of pronouns from Judy to performer. And it gave me my first taste of the idea that identity could be an autonomous decision, actually. And so I started removing gendered pronouns from my online bios or theatrical bios, and sometimes replacing them with my name, which felt really good. And then when I came across the breakdown for Taylor, the character I play on Billions, which said female non-binary, I thought, well, aren't those the same? Or how are they what's that about? And non-binary, I've heard of that word, but I don't actually know what it means exactly. So I looked up the word female, and I saw, female is a sex, an assigned sex, and gender identity, non-binary is a gender identity, and gender identity and assigned sex are different. And it was the first time that my mind was opened to the understanding that assigned sex and gender identity are two different things. Sometimes they conform, sometimes they don't.
So in the course of your career as an actor, what kind of parts have you been playing until now?
Fortunately, I've played the parts for which I was the best actor for, and that includes parts that were traditionally played by men. I've played parts that they didn't know who they wanted to cast for it, and then I walked in and they went, that's the one. So I've been really fortunate, and I work. My team, my agents, and my manager, the people that I work with know that I want to be sent out for parts across the gender spectrum. That's really important to me.
But you're willing to play girls?
Totally, yeah.
And you've played them?
Yes.
In the past?
Yeah, I've played characters that self-identified as girls, women, boys, men. Yeah.
So if somebody offered you like a super glam part with makeup and hair and boobs and high stilettos, would you do it?
Absolutely, yeah, because acting hopefully is a challenge, and hopefully it's fun. And so if the part is both of those things, challenging and fun, then I'm interested.
Okay, so the character you're playing on Billions, Taylor, fascinates me because on the one hand you also got the part because you could play somebody brilliant, which isn't true of everyone. So this is a brilliant person. Is Taylor slightly Asperger-y?
I've never considered Taylor to be on the spectrum, and I don't play Taylor with an awareness that they are on the spectrum. To me, Taylor's intelligence level is just sort of it's like Mensa level, it's just highly intelligent, but not to the point where it prevents Taylor from engaging in social behavior in sort of a typically normative way.
That's a side of that character I'd like to see more of, and you have been renewed. You are a regular now.
Yes.
This is not just a little guest thing that disappears.
I know, we get to see more of Taylor. I'm so excited.
Yeah, so presumably they're going to, because you ran with it and did well, and you got a great reaction from audiences, they're going to deepen the chroma, as
we'll get
say
to uncover a little bit more, hopefully.
Yeah. Do you have any say in that or any input?
No. Although I will say, my first season working on Billions was as a collaborative experience in terms of, a script would come my way and a pronoun for Taylor would be wrong. And I would just shoot off an email to the showrunner saying, I caught this, and a new script would come right away and it would have been changed. So it felt collaborative in that way, and I felt really respected. And so I'm so excited to see what they decide to do with Taylor, and I also have full confidence that if they have any questions or they feel that something might not sit right with me, they're going to come to me, and it'll be a conversation.
Have they? Have there been moments where, beyond pronouns, where you've said this is not cool?
Well, so there's one. This isn't a spoiler, I don't think, but Taylor has a line where they refer to someone at a job, but using the gendered version of that. Fireman is not the word that's used, but that's the example. And that was what was in the script. And I went to the person who wrote that script, and I said, Taylor would actually say the non-gendered version of this word. They would say firefighter. Again, that's not the word. But and again, that was just easily changed. But it's because I, as the actor, am thinking about those things, and Taylor, the character, is thinking about those things. It is on me to bring it up because someone else isn't looking through that lens necessarily.
And if you were to sort of have hopes and fantasies about where that trajectory might go, would you want to get more into their personal life?
Taylor's journey on the show? Yeah, I think, even though I'm the person playing Taylor, what audience members have seen of Taylor is what I know as well, So I'm excited to go on Taylor's journey so I can learn more about who Taylor is too.
Because the journey, all right, so for those of us who, I've binged and watched the last couple of episodes last night, and I'm really intrigued by the conversation that Taylor's having with the therapist.
With Wendy.
With Wendy. And I want to, the idea that there's an actual moral journey being navigated here in this hyper-masculine world that you've described.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most fascinating parts about playing the character of Taylor is this person who has such a strong sense of morality, such a strong moral center, and is constantly coming up against what that means within this hedge fund, billionaire world. How can Taylor maintain their sense of moral integrity in a world that is morally ambiguous?
Taylor didn't want to play poker.
Taylor did not want to play. Taylor told Axe that they did not want to play poker. And then Taylor won.
Do you play poker in real life?
It's funny. So I love poker. I loved poker my whole life. I never played professionally, or I never went to games, but my godfather, when I was young, when we would go to their house for dinner, he would bring me into the office and we would play Texas Hold'em and 5-card stud, just for fun. And this was when I was 8 or 9 years old. So it's always been sort of a part of my knowledge base. And then on top of that, the film Rounders, which was written by Brian Koppelman and David Levine, who are the creators and showrunners of Billions, was one of my favorite films. Long before I knew who they were, had an opportunity to meet them, let alone work with them. And so getting to be in a poker episode on Billions was really like so many dreams coming true at once. It was really extraordinary.
Well, it's fun meeting you in person because you smile more.
I've been getting this so much. Yeah, I've been getting this a lot. But apparently Taylor doesn't smile.
Very solemn.
Yeah.
Taylor's very solemn. Again, we're seeing the business side. We're seeing the work environment.
Totally.
We are not seeing off-duty.
Right, what Taylor does after work.
Or what the sex life of Taylor might
be.
Yeah,
totally.
If there is one, which I suspect there isn't, but maybe.
Again, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I certainly think that, there's a lot to uncover when it comes to Taylor.
When do you guys go back into filming again?
I don't know. You gotta talk to the big people.
Well, it's nice to have a steady job. That is a rarity.
It's the dream
world.
For an actor, right? Yeah, I've worked so hard and I've been so lucky. I feel really fortunate and humbled.
So where did you grow up?
Ithaca, New York.
That's where my family's from.
Come on.
They went to Cornell. Parents.
Wait, really?
My mother was one of the first women reporters on the Cornell Sun.
Okay, wait a minute. So let's just, do you know the song, I Want a Girl Just Like the Girl That Married Dear Old Dad? Do you remember that song? My great-grandfather wrote that song.
Wow.
My great-great-grandfather. My great-great-grandfather. Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
So I know Ithaca very well.
That's amazing.
There's lots of family still there. One of my cousins teaches at Cornell, architecture.
That's incredible. What a funny little connection. So you've literally spent time there.
Oh, many
you know,
years.
The
I
gorges
lived there
and
as a
everything.
kid and everything. Yeah, yeah.
That's unbelievable. Did you
Yeah.
go to school? I mean, not.
I went to
but-
Ithaca Elementary,
Yeah.
the one that's near the
What would you
campus.
have gone? South Hill, I guess, might have been. Or East, or
We were on Coal Grove. No, we were on oh God.
No, I know. It's fine.
Editing is gonna-
It's fine.
editing
But
is
this is
going
just
to
such a funny
occur.
connection. Yeah, that's so funny.
No, that is very cool. Ithaca. Well, that's a sophisticated academic.
Mhm.
So were your parents academics or?
My mother is highly intelligent and an artist, but not affiliated with the university in any way.
And if you were to, all right, when I was coming up in the world of feminism, the word that I was fascinated by was the word androgyny.
Mm.
And that's a word that I like to use, and I described Amy Adams' character in Arrival as androgynous because that's a woman who is not dressing like a woman, who is being a professional and wearing pants and you know, super sporty, and it's not about high heels and glam.
Yeah.
And so whenever that happens, I'm often very pleased, and I believe that women who torture themselves with stiletto heels are putting themselves through undue harm and pain and agony, and I want all women to rebel. But you don't have to do that. Maybe you're smarter than everybody else.
I don't know. I mean, it's funny that you bring up specifically sort of comfort when it comes to stilettos. I remember so vividly waiting for the bus in high school, maybe my junior or senior year, and I was wearing some outfit that I'd put together, tights and a dress and like heeled boots and something, and it was winter and I was cold and so uncomfortable waiting for the bus, and I remember saying to myself, this is the last time I'm doing this. This is the last time I am dressing in a way that I feel is supposed to impress other people or is supposed to represent me in a way that doesn't represent me, and I'm not going to do it anymore, and I want to be comfortable above all else. And that was the last time that I can say that I sort of dressed for anyone other than myself and for any reason other than to be comfortable.
So did you identify before you got to the non-binary thing as queer?
Totally, yeah. Queer is the umbrella label that I've used basically since I came into my sexual self, I suppose.
And so in the world that you live in, you're comfortable with being sexy without having to be feminine in the old-fashioned sense.
I suppose so, and in fact, I think that I am particularly gratified when, people thinking you're sexy is a totally, what's the word?
It's charged.
It's charged. That's a good way of putting it. It's charged. But I'm proud of the fact, and I think work very specifically to subvert the traditional ideas of sexiness, right? What we think of feminine, cleavage. Well, I don't have that. So, what do I get to feel sexy about? Long hair is something that's typically feminine. Well, I don't enjoy having long hair, but does that make me a man? Not necessarily, right? I think it's very freeing, actually, to decide for oneself how we want to be and identify and interact with the world.
I like it. I like it a lot. So are lots of parts coming your way now?
Oh gosh, well I've had some auditions, yes. Yeah.
Movies?
Yeah. I'm very careful about not counting any chickens before they hatch, so to speak, but I'm very grateful that certainly being on Billions and the visibility that I'm getting is not hurting the amount of phone calls that my team are getting.
And then are there other actors in the world that you admire or look up to or see as potentially the kind of work you could be doing?
I've said this before, but his name just comes to mind right off the bat every time, and that's Leonardo DiCaprio. His career has spanned so long. He is continually at the top of his game, and he's continuing to stretch himself and I think what we believe the capacity of an actor could and should be. And he's also played almost every type of different character. He's so versatile. And on top of that, he is committed to social justice. And to me, activism and art go hand in hand, so that's something that I really admire about him.
And what do you think of Tilda Swinton?
Interesting question.
She's my androgynous ideal.
Got it. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm certainly aware of Tilda as an androgynous ideal for many people, and as someone who also has played, you know, characters all over the gender spectrum, and it's interesting, though, the thing that I think about is the recent controversy about the film where Tilda Swinton is playing a role traditionally meant for an Asian person.
So the fact that she's actually playing a role that was intended for a man, she's not getting the credit for that.
Yeah, and I read that she was like, well, you know, we are subverting, you know, we're casting a woman in a traditionally male role. And I think, you know, I mean, I have a lot of Asian American identified friends who really had a big problem with the fact that, like, yes, you're giving it to a woman, but there are so few roles for Asian people in film and TV that, like, that's one that really maybe shouldn't have been given away, and regardless of talent or whatever.
So you would agree with that on Ghost in the Shell as well?
Yeah.
Well, that seems to have hurt the film.
Yeah.
In the end.
I know. Yeah.
I don't think Tilda's casting hurt the Marvel one.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing what you do with the next season and with your career. I think it's going to be long and very interesting to watch.
Thank you so much, Anne.